Wait, battle Fab and Banks in a battle like we do it, right?
Right.
Who you got?
Space.
Fab or Banks? You know what I'm saying? In a battle like we do it. Hey, this is.
That's one of my favorite rappers of all time. So.
Bro.
Fab got him. I'm telling you, bro.
Money in the bank. I'm saying what I want.
I talked to these two gentlemen too.
Uncle Murda is clearly sending shots at a few of 50 Cent's rivals on his new 2025 wrap-up, and people are already paying attention. Most of the energy seems directed at Jim Jones and Mace, with slick lines and subtle disrespect aimed at their current situations, while also hinting at a possible move alongside 50 himself. None of it feels random either. Everything about the timing feels intentional, like this could just be the beginning of something bigger coming from the G-Unit side. The real question now is whether this was only a warning shot before the real. Response drops through the Let's Rap About It podcast situation. And if 50 really has something prepared behind the scenes, this wrap-up may have only added more fuel to the tension. What also stood out was who didn't really get touched. Fabulous only caught a light mention for talking slick, but Murda didn't. Seriously go at him. Dave East wasn't mentioned at all, which definitely raised eyebrows. Murda even hinted that if 50 Cent decides to release an actual diss track, he could end up jumping on the record too. For now though, everything is being kept quiet, and that silence is making the situation feel even more calculated. Earlier, there was speculation that 50 might appear on the wrap-up itself, but clearly that never happened. And honestly, that probably makes sense, because if 50 had actually jumped on the track, the entire situation would have exploded immediately. Still, that doesn't mean nothing is coming. It's officially 2026 now, and 50 already hinted that he has a response ready whenever he decides to use it. While 50 is allegedly working behind closed doors, Uncle Murda wasted no time stepping into the conversation first. The early shots were aimed directly at Jim Jones with no hesitation. A lot of that energy also ties back to Tony Yayo, especially with podcast tension continuing to build. Murda made sure Jim felt every bit of that disrespect, and just when it looked like the dissing was slowing down, he shifted attention toward the Let's Rap About It podcast, mainly focusing on Mace. Mace had previously responded after 50 called them squatters and brought up claims about unpaid rent connected to the podcast building. Things got even messier once Jim Jones reportedly called into Joe and Jada's platform talking big, claiming he was bigger than Nas and had more billboard entries too. That statement immediately became one of the biggest talking points online. There were even jokes about lie detector results proving otherwise, which only added more heat to the situation. Then, Uncle Murda doubled down by referencing the entire situation directly. One line that caught attention immediately was when he defended Tony Yayo after people questioned his money situation, saying he had just been with him overseas eating smoked duck in Morocco. Those bars felt more like controlled jabs than full disrespect, especially toward Mace. Fabulous barely got touched, Dave East stayed completely out of it, and the main focus remained locked on Jim Jones and Mace the entire time. Now, Mace appears to be the one reacting the most publicly, which raises another question about where this could go next. Murda himself already hinted at the next move if 50 decides to jump in. Right now, he's clearly talking his talk, but this wasn't some explosive diss track meant to completely shake the industry. It felt more calm, strategic, and measured than that. The wrap-up was solid overall, different from Murda's usual style, but still focused enough to land its message. Maybe not his greatest wrap-up ever, but definitely effective. The biggest takeaway is that these bars feel more like setup shots for something larger coming later. The new year just started, and 50 Cent usually doesn't stay quiet for too long. Murda even mentioned that Fab and the others already dropped their freestyle, while 50 continues to ignore them publicly for now. But if 50 finally responds, Murda made it clear he's ready to jump right on that record with him. What happens next is the biggest question hanging over everything right now. Truthfully, Nobody knows how 50 Cent is going to play this. Some people online are already saying he's scared or claiming he won't respond at all, while others believe he might tap back into that classic G-Unit energy and remind everybody how he used to move back in the day. Right now, though, it's all speculation. Nothing is confirmed. For all we know, the podcast situation could end up getting flipped upside down completely. And if that happened, people would definitely debate whether it was fair or not. Everybody says they want to keep it strictly hip-hop and hear everything handled on wax, but times have changed. This isn't the early 2000s anymore, where every call-out automatically demanded a response. And realistically, 50 doesn't owe anybody a diss track. He could easily ignore the whole situation and keep moving without saying a word. At the same time, let's not pretend 50 doesn't enjoy being petty when he wants to be. Even though he hasn't been focused on dropping albums or chasing radio, it's lately, he's still active behind the scenes recording music for television, movies, and soundtracks. So the music side never fully stopped. The real question now is whether he decides to flip that switch and go back into full attack mode, or simply let the situation die out on its own. That's what everybody is waiting to see. Are we about to witness a full comeback diss record in that old how to rob type of energy? Probably not. There's been a lot of talk online about people supposedly hearing rumors of unreleased tracks floating around, but none of that feels confirmed. One thing that is clear, though, is that 50 Cent has always moved on his own timing. Whether people like it or not, he knows exactly how to control attention. And honestly, it's important to recognize who holds the bigger position here. If 50 decides not to respond, it's probably not even viewed as a real loss. A few months from now, most people may not even remember this back and forth unless something major happens. The Let's Rap About It podcast conversation only keeps growing if 50 chooses to acknowledge it publicly. If he ignores it, the momentum could fade fast. Now, if he does respond and the internet feels underwhelmed, people will obviously try to call it an L. But realistically, it's hard for 50 to truly lose online because the internet usually leans in his favor anyway. His influence, reach, and brand power are still on a completely different level. Just look at the bigger picture. Vegas brought in 50 Cent for a New Year's Eve performance. That alone says a lot about where his value still stands today. They're not making those same calls to Jim Jones, Fabulous, Mace, or Dave East right now. That doesn't mean those artists don't matter, because they still have loyal audiences and respected careers in their own lanes. But in terms of mainstream attention and overall impact, 50 operates in a completely different space. No matter what era we're talking about, his name continues to stay relevant. In fact, he's reportedly been one of the most streamed New York artists for multiple years straight, which really shows how strong his catalog and brand still are. Today, that's why this whole situation feels interesting. Uncle Murda is already hinting that if 50 jumps into the booth, he's ready to stand beside him immediately. You can clearly feel that G-Unit energy trying to build again. Maybe it turns into a new era type of G-Unit record with Murda, Tony Yayo, and 50 all together. Maybe it doesn't. But if the bars are stronger and the energy lands harder than what we've heard so far, then people are definitely going to view it as a major win. The mystery right now is whether this turns into a real modern G-Unit movement or if it all fades away before it fully develops. As things currently stand, it honestly feels like the calm before the storm. 50 Cent is sitting back watching everybody react while the internet keeps talking itself deeper into the situation. Historically, that's usually when he makes his move. Not when the noise first starts, but after everybody gets comfortable talking. And the reality is simple. This entire storyline only stays alive if 50 decides to touch it himself. Uncle Murda already made it clear he's locked in and ready if that call ever comes. That alone tells you where the G-Unit side seems to be mentally right now. The other side can keep talking, reacting, podcasting, and debating all day long, but realistically none of it truly shifts unless 50 Cent decides to make a move himself. That's why everything feels like a waiting game right now. Does 50 let the situation fade away quietly? Or does he step in and completely change the energy just to remind everybody how much influence he still has online? Either way, one thing is obvious. People are watching his next move closely, and if he decides to respond, it's definitely going to shake things up. Now the real question becomes whether that lineup is actually enough to silence the other side, including the lobby boys, Fabulous, and everyone connected to that circle. Honestly, it's hard to say right now because a lot can change quickly. We're going to have to watch this situation play out in real time, but based on how Uncle Murda has been moving lately, it definitely feels like there could be something bigger building behind the scenes. The energy feels calculated, not random, and people are starting to pay attention to every little hint being dropped. At the same time, the clock is ticking. All it takes is one new viral headline or one major story for this entire conversation to disappear overnight. That's just how fast things move now in the internet era. One minute everybody's locked into the drama, and the next minute the timeline has already moved on to something else. That's why this next move matters so much. If 50 responds, the conversation instantly reaches another level. If he stays silent, this could slowly cool off on its own. Either way, this story still feels unfinished. There are too many moving pieces, too many shots being thrown, and too many people hinting at more behind the scenes for this to fully die right now. So let me know what y'all think about the situation, because this could honestly go in multiple directions from here. And of course, stay locked in, because I'll be covering every update and every new development as soon as it happens. Don't forget to subscribe to DripZen, like the video, share it, drop your thoughts in the comments, and hit that hype button. It's free, it helps the channel grow in a major way, and I truly appreciate everybody showing support and tapping in.